What up? Welcome back. Still Broke Podcast. Your host, Marcus Moore, Encyclopedia Black. About to get into some Super Bowl 58 talk here and kind of assess this Brock Purdy situation here. But before we get started, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button at the bottom. Still Broke Podcast. We still broke right now, so we need all your help. Still Broke. Hit us up, like and subscribe if you like what you hear. Feel free to comment. I will be in the comments answering questions as much as I can. So if you got something to say, shoot it to me. But let's get started. Brock Purdy, man. Game manager, game changer. I know Cam's been talking a lot about that, and that has caught fire among sports media. But you know what? Brock Purdy played well. He played well. He wasn't the reason why you lost the game. He wasn't the reason why you lost it, but he wasn't the reason why you won it either. And I think that's kind of where we are with Brock Purdy. Like, the numbers are fantastic. Over 30 touchdowns, over 4,000 yards passing. But when we look at the San Francisco 49ers, we always look at the team first. They have 5 all-pro selections, not including Deebo Samuel on the offensive side of the ball. You have an all-pro at every level. You got the fullback, the running back, the left tackle, and the wide receiver. And the tight end. You got all pros everywhere, and then we get to Brock Purdy. Now, again, San Francisco played a great game. They got beat by the best. They got beat by the best player in the game today, a guy who's chasing ghosts. Patrick Mahomes is chasing Tom Brady. He's not chasing anybody in the league as we speak right now. He sits alone as the best quarterback, best player in the league right now. So he's not chasing anybody. He's that guy. He is almost the Jordan era right now where he's taking out everybody in front of him. That's what Patrick is. So we're not comparing Brock Purdy to Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to do that, so don't think that I am. I just want to make that perfectly clear. We are not comparing Brock Purdy to Patrick Mahomes. But what are we going to do? In order to beat a Patrick Mahomes, you got to have somebody that can take it to another level. You got to have somebody that puts the cape on, per se. You got to have somebody who jumps in the phone booth. Okay? You got to have somebody, when they send out the bat signal, you put on the uniform and you go get it done. Is Brock Purdy that guy? That I don't know, and I'm leaning towards probably not. Doesn't mean he's not a good player. Doesn't mean he's not an above-average player. But when it comes down to beating guys like Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, or trying to take those guys out, when you can't always rely on the all-pro talent around you and you just have to put the cape on and make plays, can you be that guy? Now, I understand, Marcus, that's what happened against Detroit. Listen, Detroit's defense is terrible. We know that. We understand that. You watch that team the whole year, they've been terrible. Okay. We also are not going to count on a ball bouncing off of Vildor's head into Ayuk's hands, which really jump-started everything for San Francisco in that NFC Championship game. We can't count on that. Okay. We can't count on that happening. So if we really want to get real about it, we can do that. So let's not use Detroit as the example here, even though Brock played well. But when you go against a guy like Patrick, do you have a guy that reaches his ceiling is higher than what we saw? And again, Brock didn't play bad. He didn't. He wasn't the reason why you lost, but he wasn't the reason why you won. And sometimes we kind of get into that mixers like, yeah, you ain't going to lose us a game, but can you win me one against the best, against the absolute best? Not against a guy that's similar to you, but a guy that the ceiling is higher than you. So can you go get that guy? Can you go get an actual top 5 guy and bring him down? Can you go get like when you're a top 7 quarterback, a top 10 quarterback, as they're trying to put Brock Purdy in? I don't put him in that situation. I don't have him in top 10. But when you try to put him there, can you go take down another top 5 to 7 guy? Can you go do that? Because if you're in that group, and you have to be able to do that, you have to. When I look at Brock Purdy, I just don't know if his ceiling is that high. He was solid. He was good. He was good. He wasn't terrible. Again, didn't lose him the game, but you didn't win us a game. Okay? We talk about the game managing and the game changer. It's like, can you manage a game until you have to change it? And then again, you got to go get in the phone booth and come back out. Can you do that? Like, it's great to manage a game until I need you to change it. And we saw that with Patrick Mahomes. Again, not to compare, But he can manage all he wants to until it's time to be a changer, and then he does that. So does San Francisco, do they have a Purdy problem where that Purdy ceiling is only so high? Now, again, we're talking about making it to the Super Bowl now, okay? They did make it to the Super Bowl. But at some point in time, you got to make a decision if you're going to pay Purdy or not. And if you pay Purdy, you're going to have to pay Ayuk. Debo's getting paid. Somebody, Kittle's getting paid. Somebody, C-Mac, somebody going to take a pay cut or get cut. So when that happens, do you have the guy that can take you to the next level? Do you have an actual top 10 guy? I mean, let's think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at just the playoff quarterbacks that he played against. Okay? And let's say this. If you had Jordan Love, if Jordan Love played for the Niners, would the Niners be any different than what they are right now? And vice versa. If Brock Purdy played for the Green Bay Packers, how many more wins would they have? I'm asking a question. You can answer it in your head. I don't think very many. I think we're even. I think we're pretty close at this point in time. So we could honestly sit here and say that he's not. He may be even, but we're not going to say he's a lot better or better than Jordan Love. We don't know that at this point in time. How about Jared Goff? Former number 1 pick. Jared Goff's been to a Super Bowl. He's taken the Detroit Lions to an NFC Championship and should have won the game. Can Brock Purdy take that Detroit Lions to the NFC Championship? And if we put Jared Goff in that San Francisco offense, what are they? If they're close, then he's not. Then I don't know if he's a top 10 guy. We're not even going to talk about Patrick Mahomes because we already know what that is. But just think about this. Let's go down his division. In the NFC, when you look at the NFC, is Matthew Stafford better? Yes, Matthew Stafford is better than Brock Purdy. He is. How about Kyler Murray? Brock Purdy isn't the dual threat guy that Kyler Murray is. Brock Purdy's ceiling isn't what Kyler Murray's is. Kyler Murray can take it to another superpower and just take over a game by himself. We've seen him do it. He can do that. Can Brock Purdy actually do that? If we put Kyler Murray in that offense with Christian McCaffrey, with Brandon Ayuk, with Debo Samuel, with George Kittle, see, now we cooking because now we have a guy that when Patrick Mahomes takes it to another level, we got a guy that can take it to that level too. Now, his floor, see, the problem is what Brock is at. His floor isn't very low. His floor is pretty even. But how high can we get on the ceiling, though? And that's the thing. When we look at a Kyler Murray, his ceiling is higher than what Brock Purdy can get us. So you put him in that San Francisco offense, we got something else. We got a different level of explosiveness in that offense with a quarterback like that. You start looking at other quarterbacks like Dak Prescott. Is he really better than Dak? Like if we put Brock in Dallas, are we really having the same results? And think about it again. Put Dak in San Francisco. We saw what Dak did with no running game. No running game in Dallas. Put him in San Francisco with the weapons that they have. Come on now. You may think that Brock Purdy, no, you will take Dak. Put Dak in that offense, and we'll see what happens. You know, you start to look at things like that. Derek Carr didn't even have a good year. Didn't even have a great year. But he still threw for 3,800 yards and 25 touchdowns. You put him in San Fran? I don't know. You put Brock Purdy in Tampa Bay. Do they make the playoffs? Like, how much different is he than Baker Mayfield? Or do we think Baker really has the tools, has better tools, but he just didn't have San Francisco? See, when we got to ask those questions, and we got to look into it like that, we have enough questions where we say, I don't know. I don't know if he's better. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Hell, if I take Bryce Young, or if I take Brock Purdy, put him in Carolina, how many more games they win? 1, 2, maybe? You put Bryce Young behind Kyle Shanahan and behind that offense in a way that guy can be an assist man. What you got? So when we started to do that, when we started to look at it, and we started to say, okay, listen, what's the ceiling on these guys? Because when we're talking about championship level, we just said this. We named enough quarterbacks. We've named enough quarterbacks as we say, I don't know if Brock is better than him if you put him in a different situation or if you put those guys in San Francisco. I don't know. But we said it enough times to have the question. So when we have the question, then you're probably not a top 10 guy. Doesn't mean you suck. Doesn't mean you're not good. You can still be a very good football player, but doesn't mean you're in that upper echelon. Because we talk about championship level quarterbacking. We're talking about that. We're talking about guys who can take it to a championship level, whose ceiling is super high. That we can say, oh, you go here? Okay, I go in there. Can Brock do that? I look at guys like Brock. I look at guys like Tua Tagovailoa, and I said, listen, they're going to get you numbers. Tua's got Jalen Waddle. He's got Tyreek Hill. He's got a tremendous running game. What does Brock have? A tremendous running game behind C-Mac. He's got Brandon Ayuk. He's got Deebo Samuel. He's got George Kittle. These guys come from the same type of offense, same type of offensive coordinators. Well, Mike McDaniel and Kyle Shanahan. Mike McDaniels was a Kyle Shanahan disciple, as they say. Came from the coaching tree. And when you have that, and you can process well, and you're fairly accurate, you don't have to have the strongest arm in the world, but you can get the ball out on time when it needs to be there. You'll have success, especially when you have weapons that you just got to get the ball out to, and then they do a lot of the heavy lifting, as they say. This is no diss to Tua and no diss to Brock Purdy. But when the ceiling isn't that high with those guys, when they can't take it to another level, you've seen it. You see when these guys, you see when Tua has to go against a Josh Allen, and you're like, that's just not the same. There's another level of horsepower in that car that we don't have. We just don't have it. And it's not their fault. It's not saying that they're not good, but there are levels to this. And when we talk about going in there and actually changing the game, can you do that? Can you take it to another level? And for San Francisco, they got to figure that out. I think Miami is starting to look at it and see themselves like, I don't know if we have the guy. It's not that he's not good, and that's the problem. The worst place you can be is with a guy who's good enough but not great. Like, he's pretty good, but he doesn't have the level to go up to the great. You don't have the level to go up to the greatest. You don't have to have that, but you got to have the level to go to the great. And have it because you are the guy. Like, everything's not blocked right. Everybody's not open, but you have to make a play. The right play call wasn't called. Like, everything wasn't set up, but can you still take it to the great level? You make something out of nothing. We say, give him the ball, get out the way. Whether it's a bad play call, good play call, whatever it is, he can make something happen. Do you have that guy? Because when you don't have that guy, then everything around you has to be perfect. And then when it's not perfect, then what do you have? Now, again, Brock didn't play bad. He didn't lose them the game, but he just didn't win it either. And you can see the difference between guys. You see it with Tua. You see the difference between guys. Next year in that conference for Tua, he's going to be – I know everybody doesn't like Aaron Rodgers, but listen, if Aaron Rodgers is even closer to Aaron Rodgers than we think, that is a dynamic player. That is a game changer. He's a guy that can take it to that level. That's who he is. So I ask, if you're San Francisco, if you're going to roll with Brock Purdy, at some point in time, do you have what it takes to get to the next level? Do you have enough around him? Is his ceiling high enough to get you to where you want to go? Or is it always going to be like, listen, as long as the pieces around us are good, we have an opportunity to get to where we want to go. But as soon as we get there, we're just going to run into a car with more horsepower. And we won't be able to keep up. Eventually, we're going to slow down. We won't be able to win the race. And that's what San Francisco has to ask themselves before they pay this man. Because once they pay this man, they got about one more year on cheap money. And then after that, when you want $40 million a year, $45 million, numbers are going to tell you, you got to pay me $45 million a year. Numbers are going to say that. Daniel Jones got $40 million a year. The numbers are going to say, I need 47 a year. Once you do that, are you going to have enough under the hood to get you to the promised land? I don't know. I'm going to say right now, I don't think you do. But he's not bad enough to possibly make an upgrade. I don't know. They told him last year they wanted to get Tom Brady. He knew that. But Tom Brady's not available. So San Francisco has to make a decision. Is this kid good enough? Can he go from game manager to game changer when he needs to? Because make no mistake, say what you want to about Cam. He's not wrong. Because you can manage a lot of games, but when it's time to put the cape on, are you capable? Yes or no? San Francisco has to answer that question. Is he capable? Is he Clark Kent? But can he be Superman when needed? Not all the time, but can you put it on when needed? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll check you next time. Still broke. We out of here.